if you go watch any of the Mr. Beast videos when he's talking to anybody, Mr. Beast will just say, make good videos. And everybody's like,
yep.
What do you mean make good videos? But if you actually break it down to what you were just saying, the basis of YouTube is video performance, which boils down to retention. Welcome back to the Agent Marketers Podcast. We got Ryan, myself here with Adam. All right. And we are bringing you this one strategy that agents are absolutely dominating their city with. And, with this, though, we're not just going to tell you what the platform is. We are getting so deep into this topic today that this is almost like a coaching session that it's going to be for you guys listening in, watching, however it is that you're consuming this. It's going to be really like a coaching strategy. We're going to get so in depth with this strategy. All right. But we want to kick things off with what not to do first, right? Don't go down this route and this path because, we've seen it. There's so many other gurus out there, people who aren't even licensed, trying to tell people how to generate business and close deals as an agent off of this platform that we're going to talk about, that aren't even licensed, telling people how to do this, right? And then that's one of the things we kind of pride ourselves on here is anything that we talk about on this channel, we are doing it. We are implementing these strategies. We've implemented in the past. We're implementing it now. Whatever it is, this is how we are building our businesses, and we're trying to teach you how to do the same things that we're doing, right? So what is this platform? And let's dive into these methods and strategies. But go ahead and talk about the platform, and then we'll get into what not to do, right? Don't start off on the wrong foot because you're just setting yourself up for failure. So what is this platform?
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, thanks, man. So I think, honestly, YouTube is a platform we're talking about today. It's hands down the number one platform for real estate agents when it comes to marketing. This should be upfront. You've heard it in our other videos. We're talking about it's the number one thing to implement in your business with real estate in 2024 or moving forward, right? And so it's been working for us for years. It hasn't changed. Yes, we've had to adapt and overcome and evolve because these kind of platforms change all the time. But, Ryan said this before, it's a search engine. People are coming on here for education reasons. They're coming on here for a little bit of entertainment too. So we're going to make it fun. But it's funny because you have these people that are talking and teaching you the wrong ways. And it's hard to filter if you don't know any difference. It's hard to filter through what works, what doesn't work, right? So some of the things you got to watch out for, right? Real estate agents, we always think about, posting marketing updates, posting videos, and maybe you're nervous on camera. You don't know what to talk about. So you're posting these videos that are 1, 2, 3 minutes long. You gotta keep a benchmark. What is that benchmark? We're going to talk about that. And then sharing your same video that you just shot on YouTube to other platforms, maybe sharing it to Facebook, Instagram, whatever that is, sending it in a newsletter to your friends and family. It's the wrong thing to do. We're not looking to do that. It's going to kill your channel, and it's going to, basically stunt your growth or your reach of your channel. And then YouTube Shorts, that came out hot and heavy because YouTube wants to compete with Instagram, TikTok. And I understand why. Those are hot platforms. But remember, not everything on there is real estate related. YouTube Shorts, it's kind of still in experimental mode, right? So
yeah,
I don't know that it's the right thing. I'm not going to say that it won't work in the future, but right now, it will kill your channel if your focus is long form content, which is how we are succeeding right now and literally taking over cities.
Well, hold on, a couple rebuttals that I know that are going to come in as well. I had a video get thousands and thousands of views. My YouTube short did. Okay, cool. So have I. But did it bring me business? Was it beneficial for my entire channel? Was it beneficial for the long run? No, absolutely not. There's videos out there, the head of discovery of YouTube saying that they just kind of put it out there. And it didn't have like a bridge in between the long form and the short form. They put all this out there. I think it was Mr. Beast actually interviewed him. So they didn't have all of it in place. Like you said, I think it was a play because of all the attention that TikTok was getting, and then Instagram copies TikTok with Reels, right? So YouTube's like, I want to play in this playground too. And then they did, and then they quickly realized that it is not a good business model because when we start diving deeper into YouTube, the basis of YouTube is how do they make money? Yes. They make money off of ad revenue. Can you make money off of ad revenue on 7-second videos? hell no, you can't. Like, so they quickly realized, oh crap, right? This is not a good business model. And then, in my opinion, they completely botched the operation. They should have just made it its own app. They should have had Shorts as its own complete app. But that's just my opinion. Now,
Ryan, what's funny too is that we practice what we preach, right? So a lot of the things you said, you mentioned just a minute ago, I did a YouTube short that had X amount of views, right? We're testing some of these things out. We don't just come off the rip saying, oh, don't do it. We're literally testing these things out. So, I don't know.
Well, going back to it too, like with TikTok, right? So where's TikTok at today? At the time of like us recording this, right? Where's it at today? So TikTok has now shifted and pivoted to try to be YouTube. So you had Instagram trying to be TikTok. Now you got YouTube trying to be TikTok. But on the other side, you got TikTok trying to be YouTube. Because now on TikTok, I believe some people are allowed to upload upwards of 30-minute videos.
A longer video.
Yeah. Why? Because TikTok's like, crap, we had to try to have a creator fund, which I was a part of, right? We tried to have a creator fund. We tried to actually pay our creators. But then when we realize and we allow people to run ads on here, like we're not making a ton of money off of these ads because they're so short and people can easily just swipe past it. They don't necessarily have like to wait the 5-second skip button and all that stuff, right? So the platforms are interesting, but like you said, they're always evolving. It's not to say it's not going to work later on, but in the future right now, it's the long form videos that we've both experienced have really, put the money in the bank.
Yeah, those are the ones that are thriving, and those are the ones that are people saying, wow, I've watched hours of your content. I've learned so much about your city, what you're talking about, your homes, everything that whatever your niche is, we've learned so much about it by literally watching hours and hours and hours. It's like, they're Netflixing, but they're on our YouTube channel, on their TV, on their phones, on their iPads, watching us. And when they reach out, they know you. They know everything about you. And there's no convincing them that, hey, I want to work with this realtor. So let's jump into it, though. How are people using YouTube as the number one strategy? How are they dominating their markets, dominating their city using YouTube? What's that first strategy that you like to suggest out?
So the first strategy is the living in channel method by the Channel Junkies, right? We both came from it. We're not trying to take credit or nothing like that. All the credit, Jackson and Jesse, coming up with this, really going and grinding and figuring it out. Right. They figured it out so that we didn't necessarily have to go through a lot of those pains to figure it out. But there's still growth and pain along the way because you still have to read your analytics and you have to evolve with your own channel and with your own audience. So there is a blueprint method, A to Z method to get you started. But as things change and evolve, right, you have to as well with your audience, because maybe your audience is a 50 to 55 category, right? Depending on your city where you live. All right. And you and your presence is a big factor as well. And that's not to say that it can't work, because one of my best students was in her 50s, best students, but that was her demographic. So but going back to it, that living in channel method, my biggest channel that has produced Living in Hawaii, yours, you have the Top Tampa channel, right? Tampa, Florida Living. And it's all about what it's like to live in this city, right? Or this market, whatever you want to call it, right? That's really what the whole thing is about. What are your thoughts on like that the living in channel method and what it has done for you and how you see it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's changed my reach and it's changed my mindset on how to go about real estate. Even it was kind of like, even though that was a blueprint for YouTube, it became a blueprint for my entire business. Was I want to be a resource for people relocating here, moving here, that are already living here, that just need to figure out the areas. We have different suburbs, different vibes, different. You don't want to live in this area if you have to go to the airport and travel, because that's 45 minutes away. You want to live in this area that's maybe only 20 to 30 minutes away, right? Or if you want a certain school zone, or you want the amenities, because I've moved to the wrong area and it was the wrong vibe for myself, right? It wasn't as easy as like, hey, let me go and grab an Uber. It didn't exist because I was out in the suburbs. I wasn't in the city anymore. After I burned through those 15 restaurants, my wife and I were like, man, I don't know about this. And it's a great place to be, but it just didn't match my lifestyle. So I guess I kind of take my own personal stories. I take all the stories from the thousands of people that have reached out to me over the last few years, and I try to bottle them up and put those into a video to give back value and to answer those. Really, on our videos, we're answering the questions, and we're giving solutions for the people that are reaching out to us, right? We're just answering it. And we're answering their questions that, like, viewers are like, oh my God, this guy literally is answering what I'm thinking. I need to, like, keep watching this guy. And they start going down the rabbit hole. And then it's like, wow, I didn't even know about that area and that area that he showcased. So I guess my point is that it all comes from being of value and being a resource. And, the way that I went, my niche with the Living In method was living in Tampa, Florida, and really just showcasing every area, every neighborhood, what's the vibe like, and the things to do. If I could do that, everybody thinks that I am now the authority and I know everything there is to Tampa. They want to work with me. So that's changed, man. And to be fair, we've sold, over $100 million in real estate just from the Living In method channel alone. Right.
Yeah. And it's amazing, like the videos, right? You talked about, we talked about this before, and if you may have heard this in one of our other episodes, but that being that resource and providing value, this is something we were talking about, but agents get so caught up in their head that providing value is everything about real estate. That home costs this much, this zip code, the typical home costs this much, blah, 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 real estate, average appreciation, depreciation, all that stuff, right? We get so caught up in thinking that is how we provide value. What the Living In method does is it actually provides value of being the local resource. And when I coach agents, and I've coached so many agents at this point, I don't know, it's well above the hundreds. If we're talking about just big rooms, thousands, right? Individuals, hundreds. But when we talk about that, I always tell them, look, you are the local expert, okay? This is not being, you kind of touched on this, the restaurant interviews and stuff. We're not trying to be digital mayors. I kind of hate that Gary Vee put that out there of go be the digital mayor. And we'll have another episode solely on this topic. But then when you say digital mayor, it's almost tied to interview local businesses, which isn't going to bring you any business. It's not going to bring you, nobody's going to call you because you interviewed the owner of Slim Chickens or whatever the heck the restaurant's called. All right. That's a good name. I was on a coaching call yesterday and I told her, like, if that's a place you like to eat, that was in her area. I just remember the name. But anyway, so that doesn't work. But being that local resource, having the expert local information knowledge, location information, plus your storytelling. I always coach agents this is how I prospect on video. Okay. To me, if I can post a video and it can get 1,000 views, in X time frame, that is better prospecting than me sitting here for 4 hours on a dialer trying to call 300 people and hoping at least one of them doesn't tell me to F off. Like, so, and everybody probably sitting there going, yep, had that happen, right? But it's location information plus storytelling. This is how you're going to build the ultimate know, like, and trust factor, right? This is exactly
now, Ryan, question you get.
Go ahead.
One question you get a lot. I'm sorry, I'm jumping in, man. One question you get a lot because I don't want to lose it is, does it work for small communities, small towns, as well as big towns? Because I'm sure some people watching are like, well, man, he's in Tampa. That's a little bit easier, right? Everybody's going to Florida. But you've worked with people from all over the place. Does it work with smaller communities, smaller cities?
100%. And there's a strategy around that. But you also have to understand, if you go more niched or more micro niched into a smaller market, that the volume of people actually looking for that might not be there. Right. So you have to understand that it may be a little slower growing. You may not get as much business. All right. We had somebody coming through who wanted to specifically do like Hot Springs, Arkansas. Very, very micro niched. Right. The audience is micro niched. The age demographic is micro niched. Understanding the type of content, the amount of you have to really understand. Yes, it does work, but you just have to wrap your mindset around that. So a lot of times we will tell our students, hey, you need to leverage the bigger market to attract and showcase what it is that you want to showcase. So he could fully do Hot Springs and understand that that's very micro niched, or he could do relocating to Arkansas, living in Arkansas, and only talk about one spot, right? So for my Hawaii channel,
Or
it's living in
the nearby big city that maybe overlaps. And what's funny, and people don't even think about this, is you take the business that comes to your area and then you refer business and make referral money to maybe you make a partnership with somebody in the other city. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to tackle that, but you can still be a resource. One last thing I'd like to say, because I don't want to lose it, is living in method. Yes, it's a lot of effort and you're pushing in all this effort, long-term strategy, right? Sometimes it works out the gate. For me, it worked, probably in the first 90 days, I had my first reach out. Sometimes for some people, it took a little bit of a grind, but what I'll say, it's a lot of information and it's okay. And it grows because long-term, it is going to be the best, marketing resource that you have. But some people teach it differently, like kind of skipping back to the beginning of the video where I said what not to do, right? Some people teach out there, YouTube for realtors, that teach, hey, you should get as many views as you can and you're going to have very broad conversation. And I mean, it's crazy stuff. Like, let's say I'm trying to sell Tampa, right? Living in Tampa. It's like the real estate market in Florida is going to crash. Follow us. And here's why. Well, listen, that's Florida. That's Miami, Jacksonville. I mean, it's crazy. Will it get 1 million views? Potentially. Problem is that how niche down is it to where people are reaching out to you? No, that strategy is great for getting paid by YouTube because you're going to have more views.
Exactly.
We've had people that have a couple hundred views, and you've had 2 home sales. That's $10,000, $20,000 of revenue off of a couple hundred views. It doesn't always mean that you have to have 1 million views on a video to be successful. So we don't subscriber count. Yeah, that's nice, and it's a nice metric. We don't subscriber count. We don't view count. We are counting the dollars in our bank from our videos. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've coached agents with less than 10 subscribers that had people reach out to them. Less than 10 subscribers, less than 1,000 views total on their channel, and they've had people reach out to them. So, like the other method that you were mentioning, there's a lot of people out there that will do we call it the doom and gloom real estate channels, where everything is crashing and burning, fire and brimstone. That it gets a lot of attention on YouTube. But at the end of the day, the channels that we are talking about are channels that produce commission checks. That's what we're talking about. Because we both make YouTube money. We both do. And yeah, you can go attack it and get YouTube money if you want to. Just understand that it doesn't pay as well as you might think. That commission check, and if I can get 2, 3, 4, 5 of those commission checks a month, that is way better than YouTube money. 100%. And that's the channels that we are dialed in and talking about.
Yep. Now, I started touching on this. I started going down that rabbit hole, so we're going to go there now. The living in method. It is a little more intense. There's a lot more into it. There's a lot of planning, and I always say just jump in and get started because you'll get better as you go. You've always said the first 10, 20 videos, that's for the algorithm. That's for YouTube to understand you. By that time, you've got a hang of it, and you're cruising, or you should be, right? But not everybody wants to jump in that, with 2 feet. Not everybody's like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. When I first started, I know I started with a GoPro and a single light. Now we've upgraded cameras, and now we have probably 4 or 5 cameras and a drone, right? But that's baby steps. That's 4 years later.
Yeah.
Are there other methods that people can do that are not just living in method? I mean, how else can you use YouTube if maybe that's not where you want to get started?
Yeah. So you and I both kind of took this step. We were like, all right, like we said this, there's a ton of ways to skin this cat and get people to call you to buy or sell a house. And the living in method is the bread and butter that we started with. But then we both took this journey and we're like, you know what? There's these other channels out there that seem like they gotta be doing a lot of business. And what are they doing on their channel?
Hundreds of thousands of views.
They're touring homes, right? So, and we all do it, right? We associate subscribers and views with money earned, and that's not usually the case. So what you and I did
think you reached out to one, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's not as good as it seems." That's exactly what they said, right?
Well, I didn't. So to be clear, I didn't talk to them specifically. I talked to somebody who does know them and talked to them. So it was a roundabout conversation, but essentially, yes, it was something that. And we both have done our homework and seen it across the board. It's something that they put a home tour up and it went viral, and then they were just kind of like, oh, well, let's just do that again, but with no actual strategy or method in mind. It just happened. And then they were like, okay, well,
Yeah,
let's
no
just
big
rinse and
call to
repeat.
action. Yeah,
Nothing.
no big call to action, no direction of, hey, by the way, we're realtors, call us, let's sell you a home. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was yeah. So basically you and I decided to test something, right? Because everything we teach, we do, we like, let's test it. So you got your Vegas channel, I got my Tampa channel, and we essentially opened up our own home tour channels.
Yeah.
And we did them
Yeah.
home tour channels, right? And we
Yeah.
did them very differently. But and we did them in two styles on purpose, right? Because I had a videographer, you had just your cell phone, and we wanted to see what did better. Was there a difference or not? And we're going to explain that in 1 second. But before we did that, we actually tested them. Didn't you say you tested them on your Hawaii channel with a home tour? And what happened, like on your main channel, on your Living In Method channel, and what happened there?
It flopped. As far as the vanity metrics go, it flopped. And I also didn't have anybody call me to buy that home either.
Right. And why? But why though? Why do you think it flopped? What was like because we study this stuff. So
Yeah.
why do you think it's probably not a good idea to mix a home tour channel, a direct home tour channel, with a Living In channel?
So, well, first you can put homes. You can showcase homes on your Living In channel. There's a way to do it. There's a strategy to go about it. Now,
Yes.
you can't necessarily just put an entire home tour on that channel, because what happens in YouTube is YouTube has they have these broad categories, and then they have these really, really micro niched pigeonholed categories. And when you start building this Living In channel, you become really pigeonholed to, this is the type of channel you have, these are the type of videos you make, and these are the type of viewers that like to watch your channel. If you try to throw in another piece, like you know what I mean, it's like throwing a Skittle in the M&M's bag. It's not supposed to be there.
Whoa.
Can't do that, right? Can't mix the sugary Skittle with the chocolate M&M, right?
That's a good analogy right there. Like,
it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
the reason you can't is because YouTube has pigeonholed you. But like I said, there's a strategy to it. Now, on the flip side, for the home tours channel here in Vegas, if I were to go try to put a pros and cons of living in Vegas on that channel, it's not going to work, because YouTube's already pigeonholed that channel as to, this is the type of videos you make. We've already built your audience, and we're continuing to find you more. All right. And these are the style of videos. So you get really, really pigeonholed into how they categorize you based on your video performance and your audience. So
Yep. So essentially, whatever niche you decide to start with, let's say it's Living In or home tour or whatever it is, it's smart to focus in on that one subject, and you can kind of like get a little bit outside, or you can tease it. So for example, we've done home tours where it's part of a community vibe on our Living In method, and that works well because we're giving them a little bit more, and it kind of works with what we're already talking about. But if all of a sudden you just home tour, here you go, sometimes it kicks it back and it doesn't really get a good reach. However, our theory was, what if we just did home tours? There's a lot of agents that we talked to, right, at a couple conventions, and they were like, man, if we just had a home tour, that we could just do that, because we already have a cell phone, we have a gimbal, we already kind of see it everywhere, we already do virtual tours for our agents. I think that'd be really easy. And I said, you know what, let's do it. So we worked it. We studied it for months. Yep. We launched the channel, and we actually were both successful. First 30 days, we both had leads. We had reach outs.
Yep.
I'm not going to lie. I thought my, this might be the first time I said it out loud, but I thought my channel was going to be better than Ryan's because I used a videographer. He went more of the raw route, where he worked with one of his other agents and just kind of walked around with a cell phone, and his channel's doing better than mine. I don't think it's because of the city. It's not because of that. And I say that because we read our analytics. Regardless of which route you go, you have to read your analytics, read your audience. How long do they watch your videos? And his videos were getting watched longer than mine. So eventually here we have worked with each other to, find a happy hybrid. And we constantly are evolving and tweaking those channels. And, on our channel here with Agent Marketers, we're always going to share with you our tips and tricks so that you can get your videos better as well. But home tours and a dedicated home tour channel does work. It does get leads, and it does get reach outs. And it's an easier way to jump into the market. If if living in method might be a little intimidating for you.
I think it is a little
say
bit easier for somebody to get started, like you just said.
it,
And the way we attacked it was you have a videographer and you did a more professional style video, so to speak. And a lot of agents think they have to do that because of HGTV. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. All right. So, and that was the beauty of it is you do that way and let me try this way. We, like I said, it was like our guinea pigs. And so, yeah, with my phone, I was like, here's how we're going to do it. I got a gimbal, I got mics, and I got a phone. Let's go do it. And we did a more raw style of a tour as if we were touring a buyer. And we've even evolved that strategy as well. We're out in the communities. So now we've almost, in our most recent videos, we've actually almost blended in a vlog style of the communities, if they're developed anyway, to showcase those. But like you said, the home tours method does work. There's a bunch of ways to skin this cat. The home tours is a really easy way to start because you actually don't even have to be on camera. If you turn the phone away and you're showing that home, they don't want to see your big head in the camera. They want to see the home.
Yeah, no, they want to see the house. It's a very different vibe and it's a different strategy. You have to approach it differently. I agree with that one. Now, Ryan, here's one thing that is very interesting, and I didn't even think about it until we were into it already, right? I had my Living in Tampa channel, which is probably one of the top channels in Tampa, then fired off on the home tour channel. I didn't see anybody really doing it at a high, level, like not a really successful level. I'm going to say there's people that do it and they do it well, but doesn't mean that they're getting results. And I've talked to them and they're like, hey man, we do get some business, but it's because they're mixing it with their main channel and it's not working. I did this one, and here's what I noticed. When I searched on TubeBuddy, which is one of the platforms that you can use for YouTube to see the analytics and see the data and the search volume, it actually show you the top 20 videos that are being searched for certain keywords. I learned that my main Living In channel actually would rank for like the top 50, like I'd say top 50% of the videos. And then all of a sudden I had the new home tour channel that was ranking for another 25%. That means all of a sudden, if you decided to do both for certain keywords, I had 75% of the top 20 videos being watched on one or the other channel. The exposure just absolutely exploded, and I dominated YouTube, which is getting thousands and thousands and thousands of views every month. So right there, that was a winning strategy that it just kind of all came together. But there's actually a third strategy that we can add to this, and all of this stuff snowballs, all right? If you're wanting to dominate your city, you're not taking your foot off the gas. You're doing the Living In method. You're doing the home tours if you want to. You can mix them in the main channel or do them separate. But here's a third one. Once you've built up an audience, like myself, I think I just hit 16,000 subscribers. Again, not that we're necessarily counting subscribers, but there are some nice thresholds. And I do have an audience now. Now with that audience, I need to entertain them. I need to give them value. They're here watching one thing, but it's like, hey, some of them have already moved here. I want to keep them happy too. I think it's a great strategy to add in a weekly or even bi-monthly or twice a month, I guess you could say, podcast and or live stream. So what we planned on doing was shooting more current events. So a lot of times with your content that you're putting on your Living In method, you're doing evergreen content, right? Content that's going to be around for a while. You shoot a community tour. That community is not going anywhere for 2 or 3 years. That video people will watch it 3 years later and still call you from it. It's beautiful.
Yep.
My idea with the podcast or the live stream is to kind of say, hey, these are all the things to do. We're here in February. I'm in Tampa and the weather's amazing. Look at our calendar of events. And then maybe if you do want to talk about that update, maybe something changed in interest rates, it's a hot topic. Get your mortgage rep on there and do a quarterly update. You're not overly doing it, but that's a hot topic. Get on there. It's something that's current and it's going to be quick-lived. Those are things to plug in to add to you being a local resource. And I think that's the perfect place to do that stuff because, again, it's a live stream. It's a podcast. You're just quickly updating your viewers and your followers. And what do you think of that, Ryan?
Well, it all goes back to the 2 words of providing value as a local resource. That wins on every platform. It does. Every platform, it wins. If you provide value as a local resource, and we've already talked about what providing value and all that means, but no, I definitely do, because one of the biggest questions we do get too is well, can these channels get me listings? Am I tapping into a local audience with my channels? Well, the living in method is heavy relocation based, but that doesn't mean that locals aren't watching your video. What I've noticed with the home tours channel specifically is I have way more I have my local audience is so much more bigger than the living in method, because we are showcasing the homes in the local area, and a bunch of locals in this area are probably trying to buy a new home, upgrade, whatever that might be. So,
and a lot of times they have a house to sell.
100%, which has happened, right? So, but no, to your point with the podcast and stuff, being a local resource of value, 100%.
That's right. So how do we summarize this? How do we tie that bow on it?
How do we put the bow on it?
Well,
I do want to discuss one more thing, because I think this is huge. In part of the video where we talked about, or this episode where we talked about what not to do, and the video length, because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of agents, they flock to Instagram or TikTok or even Shorts because they think that if I can make a 10-second, 30-second video, there's a lot less effort and time of my day that's going into making a video that they're not 100% sure is going to make them business. So I just want to talk about.
They think people don't want to watch a 20, 30-minute video. Whereas
absolutely wrong. Yeah.
We've had people that watch it for 20, 30 minutes because we did a 40-minute video. Not to say that you want all your videos to be 40 minutes, but there's absolutely people that are watching it for more than 2 minutes. Right?
And if you go look at in your analytics, I know a lot of these gurus don't even know how to look at their analytics, but if you go into your device type, you'll notice I don't want to say odd, but people are watching you on TV. People are like sitting there with the clicker, right, in the recliner, and they're watching you on TV. So to think that people aren't consuming long form content just because these other platforms got all this attention is absolutely false. I believe NAR even has data out there that over 80% of buyers or people looking to buy a home are searching on YouTube now for that content.
Yeah, and that magic number is a minimum of 8 minutes. And I say this because, we talked about this earlier. YouTube makes their money on ads, being able to place ads, and it'll say they're right in your YouTube studio as you're uploading a video. If it's 7 minutes and 54 seconds, it'll say, and you're trying to monetize, right? Because you've hit the 1,000 subscribers and all the watch time. Mm-hmm. It'll say you cannot monetize the mid-roll ad because it needs to be over 8 minutes. So all of a sudden, if you do an 8-minute and 1 second video, they'll put a third ad in the middle of that video. So now you're making more money. If they're making more money and they're happy, if they're making more money, they're going to push you out way more than the person that's making a 4-minute video.
So what I like to go back to is if you go watch any of the Mr. Beast videos, when he's talking to anybody, Mr. Beast will just say, make good videos. And everybody's like,
yep.
That's, what do you mean make good videos? But if you actually break it down to what you were just saying, the basis of YouTube is video performance, which boils down to retention. How long can you retain somebody on the platform watching videos? That way, like you said, YouTube can feed them more ads, because that is how YouTube makes money. They make money from ads on long form content. The whole basis is retention. Can you retain them on this video? Can you retain them on the entire platform? If you can do these things, then we're going to keep feeding your channel out there and finding you a bigger audience that's going to keep retaining people on the platform to make more money. Now, I teach, coach, preach 15-minute videos based on retention that I've seen. Just if you saw my YouTube and how many channels I can have access to and coach, I teach, preach 15-minute videos for the sole basis of retention and average view duration. They even have it in their guidelines that some of the biggest factors for your video performance is going to be average percentage viewed and average view duration. So out of all the videos I've shot, which is well over 1,000, and the channels that I've seen, if you wrap your mind around that first part one of, okay, retention, how do I retain viewers, right? And then you wrap your mind around, okay, they're making money off of this, so they help me, I help them, kind of thing, right? Now, what's the optimal video length? 8 minutes, yes, for ad roll, for sure. But if you want to, like my Living in Hawaii channel, the average view duration on the channel is almost 8 minutes. It's almost 8 minutes. So if you think in your mind, okay, if I can shoot a 15-minute video, I know that if I'm going to retain probably 30 to 45% of my audience, all right, so 15 minutes divided by 2, we're looking at 7.5, going to 30 to 45%. So I'm roughly going to have anywhere from maybe 5 to 6.5 minute average view duration, depending. That to me is what YouTube is looking for versus a 8-minute video. Think about that same retention in percentages. All right. Now you're getting down to 2 minutes versus if I can retain somebody closer to 7. What video are they going to like better? What video shows to have better video performance on the platform? So when you really get like into the grain of it and you start looking at it like that, and then you start looking at it, okay, well, I can't retain people in my first 30 seconds because my graph shows this huge dip. It sucks. That's when you start changing things, adapting, right? So we can give you the baseline knowledge. This is like next level stuff when you start thinking about it and putting in your brain like this. So that was a lot, but we get passionate about it. And I teach this stuff to hundreds of agents. So, and I see it all the time. Yep. And I see it in my own videos. I'm like, man, the retention in that video sucked. Like the first 30 seconds, because that can make or break a video, it wasn't good. So what do we need to do different next time? What can we test out? Because everything's a test, right? I tested out this different opening. I tested out this other thing that I said to try to keep more people on the video, those types of things. So, yeah, like I said, it's pretty, I get pretty passionate about it, but because there's so many other people out there that just are teaching YouTube and don't even understand what I just said, which kind of pisses me off a little bit. But we've had that conversation.
Simmer down, simmer down.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ruffle feathers right now. But yeah, is when you boil it, when you break it down even further and further and further, and you understand, like, well, wow, no wonder Adam, Ryan, Jackson, Jesse, anybody else that's probably, partnering with them or anything like that is doing well, is because they actually understand what to do, right? The A to Z,
no matter
right?
no matter if you're doing Living in Method, you're doing the home tours, the podcast, the live stream, you have to jump into the data, you have to understand it, and then you have to evolve. So when we say evolve, Ryan mentioned it just a second ago, but a quick example is that is on the home tours, we quickly realized they didn't want to see us. They were jumping off. We were down to like 50% retention in the first 30 seconds right away. Like this was like the second video and I was like, well, screw it. They don't want to see me. They want to see the house. So I was like, hey, our intro was like literally 15 seconds. Like, hey guys, we're in front of this house by, whatever builder, here's the stats. Let's jump inside. You're going to love this kitchen. Boom. 15 seconds. The view, the average view duration, or the people that were staying on that video, it went from like 48, 50% up to like 70% or even higher than that. And it was like, that just changed, that saved the video. And now all of a sudden you're seeing those videos go from like a couple hundred views to a couple thousand views. And it was the same video. We just changed the intro. So yes, reading those data, the data and the stats, it all makes sense. And it's going to help all three of these jive. And these are the three methods that you can use on YouTube that will just absolutely kill it as a realtor in your city.
100%. 100%. Putting the bow on it. Yeah, let's put the bow on it. Yeah, guys, you can reach out to us. Drop it in the comments if you've had success. If you have any questions about anything that was said in this video, any tips, tricks, anything like that. We are here to be your resource as agents who actually do this, right? We're living and breathing this stuff. But again, I'm Ryan. This is Adam here with the Agent Marketers. We got tons of other videos on this channel that you can check out, and those are going to pop up for you right now.
Follow in my footsteps, I see